What if events went differently within two separate realities? Imagine if the Avengers had fought the Justice League. What do you think would have happened? Welcome back, my fellow watchers of the multiverse, to a brand new fan fiction. Today's What If will be taking Zack Snyder's Justice League and pairing it up with the MCU heroes. This has been a highly requested video for over a few years now, and I'm finally glad to showcase this. I do want to say, before we get into the thick of this Marvel and DC What If, make sure to check out the Patreon account. It's starting at just $1 a month, and the help goes a long way to help make more of these videos for you, and it helps me invest in more amazing programs and also equipment. The list goes on. Follow for more on YouTube and my Instagram to see some of your very own requests turned into reels and shorts. I'm going to be doing a lot more community shoutouts. With that being said, who is ready for the Marvel vs. DC What If? In the numerous realities, change is the only consistent thing, and this fact leaves no room for impossibilities, as everything becomes possible. Every single and unimaginable scenario can be made by an event in the multiple realities that exist, and all they need to come into life is a choice. Choices are building blocks for all realities, and in this reality, we are going to witness an absolute, unique choice. One that breaks the barriers between two separate multiverses and merge together. This crossover is facilitated by the use of one constant factor in the two multiverses, and that is time. Come and let us watch and see how it plays out. Bruce Wayne seriously hoped that the tide would be in their favor as they went to battle. Bruce had been a man that had always looked down on luck, as he preferred a solid strategy or plan with multiple backup ones, in case something made the first fall. Bruce looked at his teammates and quickly calculated their success rate, but it was not looking good. It was so bad, Bruce figured that he should rename it the failure rate, as the percentage of them failing far outweighed the percentage of them succeeding. They all had one person that might turn the fight in their favor though, but he was not around, and that bothered Batman. Their trump card was Superman. And even though Batman felt that they might not win the war without him, he did not voice it out, as he did not want to crush their hopes. Hope, Batman muttered, with some resolve, as even he knew the power of the concept hope. As Batman surveyed the heroes before they landed in the abandoned Russian tower to combat Steppenwolf, he appreciated how far each of them had come. With a smile, Bruce went down memory lane as he thought about how the threat had started and how both he and Diana had started recruiting the heroes. Diana had gotten a disturbance message from her mother, the Queen of the Amazons, telling her that Steppenwolf had retrieved the mother box from the Amazons and had killed a lot of them in the process. Diana had quickly told Bruce, and that motivated him to haste their plan in recruiting a group of metahumans to form a hero organization. Bruce had been successful in recruiting a very enthusiastic Barry Allen, who was a speedster, but the others had not turned out very well. Victor and Arthur Curry rejected Bruce's invitation, but that all changed in the subsequent events that followed. Arthur's people had been attacked by Steppenwolf. When he went to retrieve the mother box they had guarded, and it motivated him to join the war. Curry, who survived the attack, immediately resolved to join the war, and he saved the Gotham policemen from a flood. Victor's resolve to join their group was solidified by the death of his father, but before that, they had been able to use the power of the mother boxes to resurrect Superman. Batman had been so glad when Victor, who was cyborg, told them that the mother boxes confirmed to the will of the user, and it could create life and erase life without any bias. They had all decided that they would use the mother boxes and bring back Superman to help aid in the fight. The thought of the resurrection of Superman gave Batman shivers, as he remembered that if not for Lois Lane, he would have been a dead man, because Superman attacked all of them after he awoke. Bruce knew that it was not his fault, and neither was it their fault, or particularly Victor's fault. It was a huge misunderstanding. As soon as Superman had awoken, Victor's cybernetic defenses had narrowed him out as a threat, and even after all of Victor's attempts to shut them down, they still fired a missile at Superman. Superman had quickly gone into a defensive mood, and he had attacked all of them. The Mother Box had resurrected Superman, but his memories were not intact, as he had amnesia. The Man of Steel had gone on to defeat all of them, and he had almost killed Bruce Wayne before Lois had intervened. Superman had then carried her off to his house at the farm. Bruce had deduced after that Steppenwolf had retrieved the Mother Box, but Cyborg's father had sacrificed himself and placed a tracking device on it. Now, they were headed to the location that Cyborg successfully tracked to defeat Steppenwolf once and for all, and stop him from using the 3 Mother Boxes. Bruce had been informed that when the 3 Mother Boxes were combined, they formed the Unity, and could achieve anything the wielder wanted them to. Bruce shivered as he thought of how if one Mother Box could resurrect a person, then 3 of them together could do unimaginable things. According to their intel, Steppenwolf would use the Mother Boxes to reform Earth into a version of Apocalypse, and bring in Darkseid, who would conquer all life forms and rule the world. They could not let that happen. Bruce quickly resolved as he went over their plan again with all of them. Superman was still nowhere in sight, but they had to do without him. Bruce quickly ensured that everyone knew the plan, and once that was done, they were ready to fight. Bruce landed them safely, and they quickly went into battle against the Parademons and Steppenwolf. They fought as if the fate of the world depended on them because of it. All their might was not enough. The battle had been going badly against the Justice League, and they were barely holding on because they were outnumbered. Even though the odds were stacked against them, they still kept pushing on through the Parademons to confront Steppenwolf and stop him from creating the Unity. Once they had reached him, the plan was to distract him in order to give Cyborg time and opportunity to separate the Mother Boxes and stop the invasion. The plan had seemed really simple when Batman had said it, but now they all knew that it was a whole lot harder, as he really aided them in creating a part of Steppenwolf. Flash had been using his super speed to take and destroy the Parademons. All of the other heroes were trying to distract him, but no matter what they threw at him, it was just not enough. Just when all hope had been almost lost, and a portal to Apocalypse opened with Darkseid and his officials just waiting to enter Earth, Superman finally arrived, and with him came a renewed home. Superman swiftly overpowered Steppenwolf with his immense strength and laser eyes, while Victor tried to separate the Mother Boxes and destroy the Unity, but he could not do it. It was far too late. The shockwave blasted from the Unity, destroying and killing everything within its path. Flash saw this and ran away quickly, his major intention being staying alive. Little did he know that he entered the Speed Force before the shockwave could reach him. Flash ran like he had never ran before a part of him knew that he needed to save everyone, and the fate of the world relied on him. Flash started reversing time and things were going back into place gradually. The shockwave was reducing as if it never happened, and destroyed structures and living things started coming back together. It was as if the whole Earth was put on rewind, and Darkseid was not a fan of it. Darkseid could not wait to get his hands on the anti-life equation, and when he saw what Flash was doing, which was made impossible because he was on a different planet, he fired his Omega beams at Flash. Flash saw it coming and he knew that he had to stop reversing time if he wanted to live, and he did exactly that. Flash disengaged from the Speed Force and tricked the Omega beams into hitting Steppenwolf, who disintegrated within seconds. Flash hoped that he had bought enough time, but unfortunately, he had not. Within 2 seconds, the shockwave would blast again, and everything would be lost. Cyborg could not still separate the Unity, and then he suddenly had a crazy idea. Without even thinking twice about it, Cyborg implemented his idea, and there a bright light shined and blinded everybody. After that, pure darkness. The Justice League did not know where they were. They had first thought that Cyborg had just teleported them to the United States of America, but then they started noticing the disturbing differences. The streets they saw were not the same. The streets seemed sparely populated. Bruce Wayne was taking notes of these details. They had all been dumped into an alleyway at night, to the horror of a stray cat, and a homeless man who had just fled while screaming, "Thanos is back," at the top of his lungs. Batman also made a mental note to find out who Thanos was. Immediately, they had materialized at the alleyway. Cyborg had passed out, and they all deduced that he was the one who manipulated the mother boxes into bringing them here. Unfortunately, they could not get answers from him for the time being, so they had to resort to scouting. Flash had been sent out to find a hideout for them, and he did within moments. While they were on their way to the hideout, they got somewhat odd looks from the few pedestrians they encountered. "Are they the new Avengers?" a small kid asked her mom, who immediately shushed her and moved more rapidly away from them. That was like the 13th time that someone had asked them if they were the Avengers, and that those were what the heroes were called. Flash informed them that while he was running, that almost half of those houses he saw were empty. It was as if half the population of the city had been gone or on vacation, Flash said. Or they were killed, Bruce added grimly. After they had settled in, they decided that they needed to send some scouts to know and learn more about the new world. Bruce quickly volunteered, and Superman, alongside Flash and Aquaman, were chosen. Cyborg had not yet woken up, and Batman hoped that he would regain consciousness to answer some permanent questions. Flash had cleared all doubts and told them that he had nothing to do with their situation, that all he did was just reverse time, and Cyborg had done the rest with the Unity. The Justice League all hoped that their world was safe, and that Darkseid had not made it through. The 3 mother boxes in their possession gave them reassurance, but they could never be too sure. Bruce, Arthur, Clark, and Barry immediately set out to gather intel after saying their farewells to Wonder Woman and an unconscious Victor. From what they had gathered, they could all see that they were in quite an interesting world. In this world, a mad titan named Thanos had erased half of the universe's population with what they called the Infinity Stones. Bruce gathered from the pedestrians that even the Avengers had not been able to stop him, and that half of them were also erased. Superman stated that the solar system of the world was not quite different from theirs, but he saw many other planets that were not around theirs, and vice versa. Superman also stated that the planet's sun made him feel much stronger, very much stronger. Arthur had communicated with the fishes, and he also got a great deal of knowledge from them. They had also told him of a man who had feathers at his feet, but Arthur gave it no second thought. The Justice League all concluded that the world they were in was an already defeated world, with possibly weak heroes, but Barry begged to differ as he had come across some of the Avengers. Barry stated that during his scouting, he had heard of them saying something about going back in time to retrieve the Infinity Stones. When Bruce heard that, he questioned Barry if that was possible without the Speed Force, but Flash stated that he did not feel the presence of the Speed Force in the new world. "I did not want to scare you guys at first, but I feel my spleen is depleting. Not rapidly, but very slowly and steadily," Flash said to everyone. Flash's announcement raised a lot more concern for everyone, but Batman calmed them down. Bruce revealed that Flash's powers came from the Speed Force, and the absence of it was making him lose his powers. Bruce further went on to state that unlike Barry, each other one of them did not get their powers from an element that was present only in their universe, as the sun was also present in this world, and it made Superman stronger. Batman had wanted to also mention that the lack of kryptonite in this world made Superman unstoppable, but he stopped himself as he did not want to give Clark any ideas. It was at that point when Victor had woken up, and the Justice League could not be more glad. The tension in the room could be cut with a wire as everyone had surrounded Victor while waiting for an answer. Cyborg seemed to have trouble recollecting his memories of the past events, but suddenly he gasped as everything came back to him. Victor told them exactly what had happened. After Barry had reversed time, Victor knew that time was not enough to separate the Unity. Even though Superman flew to aid him, he knew it would be too late again. Then suddenly, Victor had an idea. If I can't separate the Unity, why can't I take them to another location and break the link between our world and Apocalypse? Cyborg had asked himself, and that's exactly what he had done. Victor wielded the Unity to take him and the Justice League to a place where the mother boxes would be powerless, so that they could break Darkseid's hold on them and hopefully destroy them once and for all. Everything now made sense to everybody, as they commended Cyborg for saving them in their world, but they had just one small issue. If the mother boxes are powerless in this universe, how will we get home, Wonder Woman asked. Cyborg immediately felt grim, as he realized his mistake. Then, he suddenly had an idea. Maybe this world has its own mother boxes, and we could use it to teleport us home. Flash and Bruce replied in the negative, as they knew what this universe had instead were Infinity Stones, which, according to what they had picked up, might be stronger than the mother boxes. Cyborg decided that they had to get their hands on the Infinity Stones and use it to power the mother boxes in order to get back home. It was quite easy to find the solution to their problems, but now they had no idea how to implement it. The Justice League decided that they could not just go and take the Infinity Stones, as it would be an act of war. So they resorted to diplomacy. Flash was elected to go, as he would be able to quickly escape using his speed if the dialogue went sideways. Flash accepted, and they all moved to the Avengers compound. Cyborg had also hacked into the servers of the Avengers with much difficulty, and he discovered all of their names and powers, and also informed the Justice League about them, as he figured that it would be helpful in their diplomatic venture. When they had gotten quite close to the Avengers compound, Flash suddenly went inside at full speed, successfully bypassing all of their defenses and not setting any of the alarms off. Bruce made a side note to find the weaknesses of the speedster in case he ever went rogue, as he was a force to be reckoned with. Superman was currently monitoring the progress of Barry via his X-ray vision, and so far things had been going well. According to Superman, Barry had slowed down and entered the building in order not to scare the Avengers, but they were still cautious. Superman could not hear what was being discussed, but from what he saw, they were becoming less cautious. Everything was going smoothly until the snap happened. Superman saw Hulk, a green huge man, snap his fingers, and Flash had quickly collapsed while many people started rematerializing. "They have knocked him out," Superman shouted in rage, and then they rushed to fight as they took it as a supposed declaration of war. Batman and Diana thought that they should think things through, but Superman decided that they should attack immediately. Batman had started noticing differences in Clark's behavior, as he was more aggressive, but he did not think much of it, except for now. Superman did not want to wait for an answer, as they had just been able to hold him for a while, and then he set out to attack the Avengers, with other members of the Justice League left with no choice than to follow him. Batman seriously hoped that nothing would get out of hand. The Avengers were all celebrating as Hulk had been able to bring back the other half of the universe, but then it was all marred by the Flash passing out. Tony had quickly set up a makeshift hospital for him and started checking his vitals. When everything seemed like it was going well, something always seemed to go wrong, Tony signed in his mind. The Avengers had agreed to discuss with the Justice League and possibly give them the Infinity Stones after proper investigation. But first they wanted to bring back their universe's population that had been wiped out by Thanos. Barry had seemed okay with that, but when the snap had happened, his body proved not to be okay, as he had fainted. Stark was really glad that everyone had been brought back, but he was still curious at how Flash had gotten past his security. If he was able to, what stops other members of his team from doing the same? Tony asked himself, and soon he got his answer, as Superman emerged and demanded for the body of Barry and the Infinity Stones. "No, the Infinity Stones are mine," Thanos declared, as he came out of a portal from the time machine to surprise everyone. A fake nebula had opened up the time machine to bring him back. Superman looked rageful and asked him for his identity. "I am Thanos," he declared, "the mad titan of worlds." "Then I will end you," Superman said, as he fired his lasers from his eyes and blew up the portal and the time machine that Thanos' forces were using to invade the Earth, destroying all of them. Superman then wasted no time as he drove Thanos through a wall and out of the Avengers compound. Superman then proceeded to offload punches on him, and he was still stunned. Thanos couldn't believe it. Superman had destroyed most of Thanos' army, but some still remained, and then the Avengers battled them. Iron Man rushed to join in the battle, but his intentions was drawn to a particular cyborg that he wanted to retrieve the Infinity Gauntlet. Iron Man blasted him into a wall, but he quickly recovered, and they started fighting like their lives depended on it. Iron Man was amazed at how Cyborg's body was built, but he did not have enough time to admire it, as he was currently fighting for his life. Iron Man heard grunts of intense fighting in the sky, and he snuck a glance and saw Thor currently battling with Wonder Woman in the air. Thor was throwing all he had at her, but she countered every move and was slowly gaining on the God of Thunder. Thor did the obvious thing he could think of, and he blasted lightning at Wonder Woman, but she quickly deflected it with her bracelets and blasted it back at Thor, who was knocked out of the sky. Iron Man was suddenly scared at how the war was turning out, as water broke loose into the Avengers compound. With Aquaman riding the tide, the wave crashed into the armies fighting below, and it was pure chaos. Tony quickly took to the air, and so did Cyborg. The other Avengers, the Wakandan warriors, and the remainder of Thanos' army were immediately covered with water. Batman had successfully retrieved Flash's unconscious body, and now in the midst of the chaos, he saw the Infinity Gauntlet was left open, and he moved to steal it. Batman put an underwater breathing mask on himself and Barry as he gave his body to Arthur, who wielded the waves to carry the Flash's body to safety. Batman then went on to collect the Infinity Gauntlet, but he was stopped by the Incredible Hulk, who punched him into the depths of the rapidly increasing body of water. Batman's underwater breathing mask broke, and he was on the verge of unconsciousness, but Arthur wielded him out of the water, even as he went into combat with Hulk. The conflict had escalated to a full-size scale war, and Superman was the god of it. Batman watched as Superman tore through the ranks of the Avengers. The head of Thanos laid separated from his body, and Batman figured that he did not need to ask again how the conflict had ended. Superman now combated several Wakandan warriors at once, while fighting Doctor Strange, Wanda, and Captain Marvel too. They seemed to be weakening him because of their magic, but Superman had quickly lasered them to death. Wanda and Captain Marvel remained, but Wonder Woman intercepted Wanda and incapacitated her. Batman started noticing a strange glow from Superman, and it confirmed his fears that this planet's sun had been influencing Clark negatively, making him much stronger but much more evil. Batman was quickly pulled out of his thoughts as Captain America aimed his shield at him. Bruce quickly rolled out of the way and readied himself for combat, even as Aquaman's lifeless body was thrown out of the water, with a roar from the Hulk, who emerged next. Flash woke up to the sounds of war, but that did not feel right. When he finally opened his eyes, he surveyed the morbid sight before him, and it was heart-wrenching. Arthur lay dead while Cyborg was missing most of his body parts, battling with Iron Man. Wonder Woman's body was bloodied, but still, she fought with Thor, who had recovered from the early blast of thunder. Flash watched with horror as Superman tore Spider-Man into two as the web crawler was trying to escape with the gauntlet. Superman then crushed the gauntlet into his chest as they released their powers upon him. Flash heard a pained voice from underneath him, and he saw a disfigured and wounded Batman calling out to him. Bruce had a short time to spend before he died, but he made use of it efficiently and filled Barry in on what had happened and why Superman was acting bloodthirsty because of the planet's sun. Flash had just collapsed because of the absence of the Speed Force had taken a toll on him, and it was merely a coincidence that had occurred after Hulk had snapped his fingers. "You are the only one that can stop everything," Bruce told him. "You can turn back the hands of time." Barry tried to explain to Bruce that there was no Speed Force present in this world, and even when he had the Speed Force, he had not been successful in reversing time. "You are the Speed Force," Bruce told him, as he finally gave up his ghost. Bruce had succeeded succeeded in defeating Captain America, but it came with the cost of his own life. Barry stood up high with tears in his eyes, and he saw Superman, who went in full berserk mode and was destroying everything in sight. Flash saw the despair and the horror of the battlefield, and he decided that he could not allow this to be the future of the Justice League. "No, this can't be," Barry said, and he started running. It was not easy, but Barry had tapped deep into the speed force within himself. Barry ran until time became fluid, and then it started going backwards. Barry ran and ran. Superman caught on to what he was doing and blasted his lasers at him, powered by the Infinity Stones too. But Flash swallowed his fear of being blasted by them and outran them. Before Barry knew it, he was back at the abandoned Russian city with Cyborg, still trying to separate the Unity. The Flash had hot rage energy within him, and something told him that he could unleash it. The Flash focused all of his anger and directed all of the energy in his body into one strike aimed at the Unity. Lightning went out from the Flash and struck Unity, blasting them apart, closing the portal and stopping the invasion. Everything started going black for Barry as he was passed out, but he had a smile on his face as he was satisfied that he had saved 2 worlds. And that is going to be what if the Avengers had fought the Justice League? What do you think would have happened if the Flash had traveled to another dimension? Do you think the Avengers and the Justice League would have fought? Let me know in the comments what you think of this DC and Marvel crossover what if fanfiction. It was a very interesting sight seeing how Superman turned evil because he was in a different dimension. I think it would have been very interesting to see a lot of the Justice League members team up with the Avengers. I've never actually done that into a fan fiction, so maybe that will be something different, but I did keep the storyline with Avengers Endgame and also Zack Snyder's Justice League. So that being said, I hope you enjoyed this fan fiction, and if you did, do make sure to follow me on all of my social medias. I will have the links in the description down below. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Peace out.